in the big holistic picture. And I think part of the problem is that we don't really understand what the big holistic picture is. So we just stay in our little fragmentation. The reality, okay, I'm going to go very quickly because I have too many slides. The science of intuitive intelligence, okay, I've broken it down into 3 areas. There are 3 quote-unquote brains: the head, the heart, and I'll talk more about the heart later, and the cosmic brain, okay, the information, the data flow, the timelines, all that in the cosmos. And there are 4 disciplines that relate to this: neuroscience with brain plasticity, neurocardiology, the heart and the important role that the heart plays, and we'll see that a little later. The quantum physics actually gives you a structure, the macro structure, okay, of a hologram where you have non-locality and entanglement. And finally, you have 2 methods of accessing non-local information, and that's coordinate remote viewing and radiesthesia. And then the process is the human being, and the process is a transformational one. You can imagine if you break down all your barriers and your assumptions, you have to reassess yourself and therefore reassess your consciousness. Okay, so now we're going to go through each brain. The head brain, okay, that's an obvious one, and I won't spend much time on it. It's not a computational device. It's an electromagnetic chemical organ, okay? It generates electrical power. It communicates information through chemicals, as you all know. I won't waste your time on that. Okay, some more of that. Now, brain plasticity. This is a very important concept to remember when we visualize ourselves changing our brain patterns and changing the way we think. The brain continues to grow and evolve depending upon its use and environment. There's an increased ability to learn and creativity, intuition, and finally self-actualization. There's been recorded increases in physiological changes in the brain, such as the thickness of cerebral cortex, the neuron sizes and branching out that grows, number of synapses, and the ratio of glial cells to neurons. So it's important to know when you visualize that your brain can actually physically grow. The brain is an organic entity that continuously searches for modes of adaptation. It doesn't simply learn, it's always learning how to learn. The brain is more like a living creature with an appetite, one that can grow and change itself with proper nourishment and exercise. And although as we get older, we may not use our brain functions as much, and we decrease our physical exercise, which impairs the production or the growth, the potential growth of the brain, research does demonstrate that at 70 years old, we can still produce new neurons and we can still restructure the physical aspects of our brain. For example, researchers examined the brain structure in subjects before and after a 3-month course in juggling. An area in the occipital lobe specializing in the perception of motion grew over this period. 3 months after their training stopped, the area had shrunk, losing about half the size it had gained during the training. So the conclusion is that as little as 3 months activity, a change in your brain activity can change your brain structure. So think of the implication of that, okay? Now, an interesting finding is that in 1925, they identified what they called the intuition neuron, okay? And they call it the VENS. And they're located in the frontal insulas, and there are 2 unique attributes found only in humans, great apes, some whales, and elephants, but as you can see, the humans have a lot more of them than the ape, for example. And this is the seat of intuitive thinking. It's where the decision-making process happens, and it's where we make emotional judgments. Now, this is a very fascinating area, neurocardiology, which says that the heart itself is like the brain. It's actually an intrinsic and sophisticated nervous system. It has 40,000 neurons or sensory neurites. It has its own neurotransmitters. Ooh, okay, I have to hurry up. And it has several direct pathways to the head brain into the medulla, okay? The heart is the most powerful generator of rhythmic information patterns in the human body, okay? It transmits information to the brain, and furthermore, the heart's electromagnetic field is by far the most powerful field produced by the human body, even more than in the brain or just, in general. Cardiac fields can be measured several feet away from the body, and the heart's field is an important carrier of information. When humans touch, and this is another interesting thing, or are in conversational proximity of each other, the heartbeat signal of the other person is registered in the brain waves. So here's another way that we receive signals that we may not be conscious of, and this is what my methodology is about. How do you recognize these signals? How do you become sensitive to them? And then what can you do with them, okay? And the quantum physics, I'm really gonna have to hurry up here, entails the understanding of entangled particles, wormholes, tunneling, retrocausality, and the fact that photons are possible carriers of quantum information, okay? We all know about the twin photon experiment, where independent choices always matched without any communication between them, and Einstein had considered this possibility but couldn't explain it and called it spooky action at a distance. Okay. Professor Baum says that the reason subatomic particles are able to remain in contact with one another is not because they're sending signals or communicating, but they're not separate. So the concept of separateness was created by us humans, which is why we may find it difficult to prove certain concepts that we came up with ourselves. Okay, I'm going to skip over the hologram. Okay, we all know what a hologram is. It operates on two different levels of energy. The visual, which is the actual photograph, but also on a vibrational level where the information is stored, okay? So each region, okay. The ability to, okay, I'm trying to, sorry. I did this in 25 minutes a little while ago, but the brain, now, okay, so you have the macro structure and then you have the micro structure inside of ourselves, which says that the brain operates also as a holographic system. So you can see how the holograms can be entangled and how we can, communicate information in that way. The brain operates as a dissipative structure according to Prigoghine's concept. Coordinate remote viewing, we all know what that is, so I'll skip over that. But there are two basic principles which I bring into my methodology, and that's intentionality and also shutting off the conscious voice. When you get an insight, an intuitive insight, the problem is, how do you differentiate that from just normal brain idea or creativity, okay? Very often you get an insight and you hear your voice saying, well, that's stupid, or that doesn't make any sense. So the methodology actually trains the person to differentiate between the two, okay? Radiesthesia is also an important concept in the methodology. It's based on the fact that we are emitters and we receive information through our neuro endings. So, hold on, I'm trying. Okay. So the implications are the human body is a receptor and emitter operating within a holographic system. So we need to, okay, have one more minute. We need to open the mind and grasp all this new knowledge and visualize how we can actually use our brain differently. For example, one of the exercises, what do you think of when you think of a crystal? Write down the first thing that comes to your mind. This is in trying to create scenarios of the impossible. Well, not many people will come up with this size crystal. This is a natural cave somewhere. The protocol, or actually the methodology, starts out with identifying the gestalts. Okay, many of us, when we have insights, some of us feel something on the skin, or some of us get a jolt.